Cool. All right. Hey, welcome all you amazing beauty bosses. I have a fantastic interview I have been waiting for a while. I've been keeping tabs on Maria for a long, long time because I see what she's doing on social media. I see the things she posts, whether it's her reviews, whether it's just the content, the variety of it. And I can typically get a good idea how somebody is interacting on social media on how they are doing in business. And Maria is somebody that I just felt I'm like, wow, she's just doing a lot of right things. And that's what we're here to do today. One is to pick her brain, two, get some ideas from all her years of experience, and three, how we can apply that to your business if you want to get more clients, if you want to be in the 100+ Google reviews like Maria has, and go from there. Maria, so thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. I appreciate you always.
My pleasure.
All right, so please introduce yourself, the name of your business, how long have you been an esthetician?
My name is Marija DeVita, and I have been licensed esthetician now for 15 years. And also 6 years ago, I became licensed massage therapist. So I'm dually licensed. And I moved to Summerville, South Carolina, about 4.5 years ago. The only person we knew in Summerville was owner of Airbnb. No one else. And so I knew if I wanted to start business here, I have to really get out my comfort zone and do something that many estheticians are uncomfortable with. So I went to first coffee shop. I like small coffee shop, community oriented. I talk to everybody. Funny thing, like the best thing is when you're meeting someone, for them to remember you, to almost create an awkward situation. I would tell a man, I said, nice to meet you, Tom. I said, can you give me your bank account number, please, before you leave? And people go like, what? And guess what? Next week, Tuesday, when I showed up, Tom was like, hey, Maria, how's the facial business going? I'm sending you my wife. You have to find way to for people to notice you,
Yeah.
like have a humor. Like nothing in life is so serious. I mean, yeah, there are serious things, but in our business, you have to find your way and you have to be authentic. If I try to be someone else, that can never work. I come from Slavic background. I'm Croatian by birth, and we are very direct culture. And living in America, I have learned I can easily hurt people because they have different cultural views about same thing. And both of us are right. Example, nobody's wrong. It's just how, like, in Croatia, they have saying better bitter truth than a sweet lie. Well,
Yeah.
in America, it's opposite. People will tell you sweet lie to protect you from truth, and I feel like that can be downfall. I have mentored some estheticians privately and who just didn't want to do what I was kind of suggesting, giving them suggestions. And guess what? They didn't last long in a business. And that's sad part, you know.
And that's the stuff that really matters. The more interviews I've done with estheticians, the more certain things pop up, like being authentic, right? Being caring, being direct forward, not so much of going around. And you're absolutely right. Like we try to be really nice, or we want to be comfortable. And the reality of the aesthetics business is we depend on strangers to come to our business and pay for our products and services. So, I read somewhere recently, it's easier to make a stranger a friend or a client, right? as opposed to making a friend. There's a lot of times we have friends and family to that won't support us as much, right? So when you look at those things, hey, your business is going to be run on strangers. So you going to a coffee shop and asking somebody for their account number, right? That they will remember you, right?
Absolutely. It doesn't have to be that. Like I have even said to one gentleman, I said, "Oh, fancy seeing you here." He goes, "Do we know each other?" I said, "Oh, you're gonna pretend like you don't know me now after we spend, you know what, together?" And guess what? Whole table laughed when I came back next week to same coffee spot. They said, "Who do you remember now, Maria?" Everybody knew my name. They knew, and women were like, "Oh, do you have your business card?" I say, "Yes, I do."
Yeah.
People like it's how our business aesthetic is how you make people feel.
Mm-hmm. 100%, 100%.
We live
So go ahead, keep going, go ahead.
we lived in such a stressful time with people, especially since COVID and post-COVID era. And people still have lots of bottled feelings. You would be surprised how many somatic releases I have seen and experienced from my clients.
Yeah.
People are craving someone who will touch them, who will, understand, who will allow them like to relax. I have women crying. They say, "I have 3 children. My house is mess, and this is the only part of my life that is in order. You talk to me, but then you allow me to relax. You
Mm.
made me feel so good." And that's like crucial. It's not about being salesy. It's people buy because they understand they need services or they need products
Yeah.
because those are making them feel good.
And you know what? That part alone is so critical, what you just said, but it's also important. And I hope everyone that's watching this can understand these small things, how they lead to big things and long-term clients. Our people are there, we're like layers of onions, right? The core part that you mentioned where someone can unload their feelings to you, where someone can sit there and go, hey, my day is chaos, but when I come see you, it's their therapy. They get to release their emotions. They get to not wear a mask. They get to just let some of their burdens go. But to get to that point, it helps in the beginning to be, for example, your opening line when you go to that coffee shop, right? You have that little bit of humor because someone's not going to confess all their life problems to you right away, right? But it starts with being memorable, right? You have to go, hey, we're people, and I think a lot of the times we forget that. Like it's as if when I travel to whenever I travel, I'll sit at an airport and I'll be sitting there waiting for the plane, sitting at my gate, bored out of my mind. I'll sit on my phone. I would love if somebody came to me and just started talking to me, right? It's like it's one of those things I would invite that so much. It's just, hey, where are you going? And da, da, da. Like a lot of the time, people we feel awkward about talking to people, but then we don't know where that conversation could lead, especially if you're a business owner. If you're a business owner and you go to a local coffee shop, talk to people, just say, hey, what are you having today? But more importantly, and you gave me an idea, is like, I'm going to make a list of weird things to say to people to be
Yes,
memorable because it's a that
yes,
that opening line is just to get people to go, wait, what? Wait. It's like instead of the normal hi, how are you, which is again, for someone that is a little bit more on the shy side, hi, how are you is fantastic. However, if you want to be a little bit funny, if that's part of your personality, you want to be memorable, you start with that, and then that person will, if you came to me and go, hey, I saw you standing there and I was wondering, can you give me your bank account number? I'd be like, wait, what? I love Maria, I love that so much. I love that so much.
Yeah, I have built my business. Like I said, when I came here, moved here 4.5 years ago, it was really hard time for me because a month and a half after we moved to South Carolina from Northern Virginia outside DC, I have lost my mom and my brother same day, and then day and a half later, my father passed. So it was traumatic
Yeah.
loss, grief, immeasurable grief that gripped my family, remaining family, myself, and God's grace and belief and work. Work also gave me another purpose because I knew my parents would expect me and my brother uh, to to go, when I would approach someone, it was me like that. That's how I was always, infused like with little humor, something that is off the cuff. And same with women. You don't have to wait for men to ask him for account number. I have a client, she still laughs. She said, Maria, I cannot believe you said that to me after I told you my name and shook your hand. She said, that's what got me and brought me to you.
Yeah.
So that
But
first
see,
impression is so important.
yeah, 100%. And it's one of the things that I've seen in life is a lot of the times we bond on our pain, right? So for example, if somebody and you this is like one of your abilities, whether it comes naturally to you or something that you've just practiced or discovered over the years, is if someone can feel comfortable enough with you to start sharing some of their intimate problems. You have not only, of course you get the client side of it, but you're making a friend. You're having somebody that's trusting you, that is confiding in you. And those are some of the best people because you'll laugh together, you'll work on your skin together, you might even cry together. I've spoken with many estheticians that just said, hey, we just sat there and we cried for a while because for somebody to just release that. And now you're helping them in many aspects of their life. It's not just the skin, the hair, the eyebrows, the massage per se. It's that internal part that you're giving them permission to release. And we all have problems, right? And we were talking about that a little bit earlier today. We're like, stress is a part of life. There's stress of learning something new. There's a stress of approaching somebody in a coffee shop and introducing yourself, right? But there's also the other stresses that are the stresses of not doing that, of struggling in your business. Where do I get my clients from? How do I pay my bills? So if we're going to stress, one side is helping your business, the other side is there is no stress. And that's what I shared with you before. I go, the only people that don't have stress are dead people. So if you're
Yes.
alive and you have a pulse, there's going to be stress, but you might as well stress to your benefit, right? And so real quickly before we get going, you mentioned also part of the things that you do, which one thing that I really like that I saw on your social media is you held an open house recently, right?
That's correct. Yesterday.
So what is an open house? What did you do? How did you do it?
I do this once or twice a year. Sometimes it's open house, sometimes it's an evening, of sip and glow, as I call it. So yesterday I launched one of my clients launched her own food truck.
Hmm.
So I hired her to do catering and to promote her business as well in that because I want other people to, I always support community members. In my spa room, I have artwork from one of my clients. She is an artist, and I feature her artwork. I personally purchased some items and I sold some of her items. She's an amazing client. These are
Mm.
great people. So when I do open house, I always have some fun drinks. I'll serve water and lemonade. But like yesterday, because it was afternoon, Sunday, Aperol Spritz was hit. Just about every person had Aperol Spritz and they loved it. I make goodie bags. I'll ask one of my skincare companies if they can contribute some samples and stuff toward it. But to me, even if they don't, it's worth investment.
Yeah.
So everybody, first 20 people that register will receive goodie bag, and substantial goodie bag, like full size reed, diffuser for home, because it's summertime, so we don't want to burn candles and stuff. And then like everything for self-care. After all, we are aesthetic business, so they have a cleanser, they have an exfoliator, they have sheet mask, little serum and cream, so they can have that self-care at home.
Hmm.
And with instruction, I put card, I put little tea, and I always put on a card what's in it. And I said tea to remind you to take time for yourself. And here are some chocolate to remind you that life is sweet, even in the midst of chaos. Just kind of little things. These are little things that mean so much to people. I have
Yeah.
clients, she told me last time and I had opened, she said, Maria, if you just had that tea bag and those couple pieces of candy, I would be happy camper. She said, because you said in the midst of a chaos, there is still find those moments. Life can be sweet. Here's a chocolate to remind you. And she said she ate, I put 3 pieces of chocolate. It lasted her 3 weeks till she saw me. Weekly, one piece of chocolate. And these are the best clients because they want to see you succeed. They want,
Yeah.
so they bring their friends, they invite others. They're not gatekeepers. They are genuine people who care about you, who support you and stuff. So I have food, giveaway. I also have giveaways. So those, let's say 21st people yesterday who registered, they got 2 tickets for giveaway. So I have
Hmm.
usually nice giveaway box like of products. I try usually to put stuff to represent everything. I make my own skincare, but I also make candles, I make room sprays, soaps and stuff. So everything is represented in that box that represents my business. I always put the best, because you never know, it doesn't matter who's going to win that. Like that giveaway box yesterday was almost $300 value.
Yeah.
But it's like I say, it paid off. I had yesterday people that bought right off the bat 2 facial packages.
So let's get into that a little bit. So you had an open house. How many people showed up?
I think 29.
Okay, so
I was
about
doing
20.
Tala kind this morning,
Mhm.
29 people.
Nice. That's awesome. And of those 29, how many were existing clients? How many were new people you've never met before?
Or 11. Actually, I met this lady. She just never came till I met her a couple times. So I would say 10 brand new people that I shook their hand and say, what the hell? I told one lady, I said, hi, I'm Maria. What the hell are you doing here? And she was like, what? She's like, I said, are you trespassing? And she said,
Maria, you're killing me.
she goes, oh my gosh. She said, I said, I know, welcome. And I gave her a hug and she started laughing. She goes, you're something else. She said, my friend warned me that, you know,
They didn't warn her enough. Jeez.
but that's the thing with, like, she bought a package yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Yes, she goes, I said, why don't you start with one facial? She said, oh, hell no, I'm buying it because for open house, I create special packages.
Hmm.
and stuff. She said, and it's only that day available. So she's like, no, I'm not leaving without spending money here.
I'll see.
And, but it takes, like I said, you just have to judge each kind, make that judgment.
Hmm.
When I say, are you trespassing? I mean, you should see a look on her face and stuff. So about 19 existing and 10 new clients.
I'm fantastic. So here, just because I'm curious, right? What are some of your best openers? So you go up to somebody, you ask them for their bank account number, right? So you somebody like that you meet for the first time, go, hey, what the hell are you doing here? Are you trespassing? What are some Maria isms or things that you say that have that little shock value in the beginning?
Sometimes I imply we have scandalous past.
Hmm.
And especially if it's men, he goes, I don't remember meeting you ever. I say, yeah, because you were so drunk. And men will say, I don't drink. I say, oh, maybe not now. And most people drink. you know? I mean, and it's icebreaker and it's just funny as a hell. Or sometimes I'll use conversation. I actually ended up sharing community table. I had my coffee and there were a group of men and women,
Hmm.
and men was talking about going hunting, and so the woman was saying, "Ooh, gross!" Like I said, "Oh my gosh, I grew up on a farm." I said, "I used to, like prepare, like we used to slaughter pigs and goats and sheep." And so everybody at that table, attention turned to me. They said, "What?" I said, "Yes, I grew up on a farm." I said, "I can, break a chicken neck like that, and God goes, "You're my kind of girl," you know, and stuff. So I had suddenly attention of 7 people, four
Yeah.
women and 3 men. And that evolves. What do you do? Oh, where's your business, Bob? So 2 of those 7 people are my clients now. Just because I said sometimes, even if a small table is available, when I go to my favorite coffee shop, I always look for long community table because that's usually people are sitting there. Some will be on their laptops, some will be talking. And I love joining that table. If there's one spot, and sometimes I will say, scoot down a little bit. Let me join this beautiful table. I
Yeah.
always love beautiful things. And you just first thing I saw is you here. Even though there are 3, 4 tables, for 2 people or 4 people. So this gives me opportunity to start conversation and to
Mhm.
enjoy myself. I'm having fun too. It's
I'm having Maria. I want to be at that table. Dang it! It's like, I'm having fun, right? But that's I think one of the biggest problems out there is like exactly what you mentioned is, you know, be memorable and create that initial first impression, right? Create a strong first impression where you are memorable. It's just not a matter, hi, how are you doing? What do you do? Oh, I'm an esthetician, right? It's kind of you have that whole little process and setup where people want to just know you and naturally it's like, okay, who are you and what do you do, right?
Yeah, you turn 7 people attention to yourself, and then with my accent, that's one of the first things they ask me. Oh, your accent, where are you from? I go, I don't have an accent. You do. I'm like, I'm from Tennessee. And that creates whole another. I mean, it's just so much fun. I'm having blast talking to people that I have never met before.
Yeah.
The reason I said Tennessee, I lived there and I loved it. Plus, I got naturalized in Tennessee. That's where I became American citizen. So when people say, "Where are you from?" I go, Tennessee. And of course, like everybody gives me that second look and say, no.
Well, what do you mean?
And
So
stuff. So it's all about, like I said, life is stressful, life is hard. Making like icebreakers are so important.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like when I sit at community table, there's somebody in the middle whose water, let's say in their clear cup, is low. So I go, excuse me. I said, Susan, and I don't know her name. And she'll
Mhm.
go, my name is Debbie. I said, you want me to refill your water for you? I said, it's down. You should drink water. I said, I know that because I teach that to my clients. She goes, are you a personal trainer? I said, well, sort of. I said, I'm kind of therapist and esthetician. I'm a skin specialist. I
Mhm.
make people feel good. I raise your wrinkles. I said, your dark spots, make them go away. I relax your muscles. I said, I'm a director of Chill Will. Like, and that starts just the simple stuff using immediately your brain has to recognize. Read the room when you enter.
Mhm.
Like I said, you zoom on a person. Guess what? Debbie is my client.
Yeah.
She
So,
remembered me by offering to refill her water and starting conversation.
I think most people are just good people. Sometimes people just need that permission to smile, to laugh, to have a conversation, right? I'm pretty sure that there are some times where maybe somebody was a little bit standoffish. Have you ever ran into that where somebody didn't respond or they're just like, eh?
Not really, because like I say, it's all about reading room.
Hmm.
I'm certainly two men with open, like even at the community table with open laptops and having that serious look on their face. I'm certainly not going to approach them and say, hey, John, you remember me? No, you got to really get that feel for people. You know,
Hmm.
you see who is open, like who is approachable, even if somebody is working sometimes at that table or other tables, and you just know that.
Yeah,
You can.
there's ways you can tell. Like for example, I look at myself if I'm sitting at a coffee shop and I'm getting some work done. If I'm really focused, it's just exactly what you mentioned, and that's such a wonderful point. Is I'm gonna be in there, kind of like focused in on it. But if I'm just like looking around or doing this or kind of like on my phone, I'm probably gonna be a little bit more open to speaking to somebody because I'm just there killing time having coffee as opposed to hardcore work, right?
Yes, and like one of my favorite coffee shops, about 15 minutes from my home and 5 minutes from my business, is more known for networking, community open. It's not like a Starbucks chain where people are sitting their laptops, and then that leads, I have been invited to like other like groups when people have like events. They say, Maria, we would like for you to come, like book clubs, banco games, monthly banco and stuff. So I respond. I go. A 12 women or 16 women that are playing banco a
Hmm.
monthly are great for us estheticians. And our faces are our best advertisement. I'm over 60 years old, no Botox, no fillers. I take good care of myself, and every time I get so much compliments on my skin. And I tell people it's not that hard. It really is not.
Yeah.
Being disciplined is more and consistent, more important than being motivated for a couple of days. Same in a business, so, and I'm not even member of Chamber of Commerce here and
Hmm.
stuff. I'd probably join chamber, but that groundwork going to the small businesses, and I also made point of supporting small businesses, like in yesterday during open house. the lady that started her food truck, Lauren, she was so happy that she was able to say she launched her business at my open house.
Yeah.
Supporting. I made sure there was another lady. She provides some kind of legal access for everyone, whether you need will and stuff. So I made sure people know what she does, because not everybody can afford a lawyer to get piece of will or paper. And honestly, these days you got to have your affairs in order
Yeah.
and stuff. So, I make sure I always point to other businesses and support other businesses whenever possible, so people have that sense, like, oh, wow, this is so nice. Or I'll buy from a restaurant $25 gift card to add to what I'm giving away. And I let them know. And guess what? In return, people are more likely and willing to support you if you are supporting them.
A
It
hundred
is
percent.
relationship.
That's the name of the business, right? It's not transactional so much, right? If meaning there are transactional clients, someone's going to come in just for a facial, but the long-term ones, I truly believe you build with that relationship. It doesn't hurt to be kind. It doesn't hurt to care. You're right. You put things out there and we'll be surprised. Meaning if there's somebody that's supporting my business, right? I'm in love with that person. I'm like, thank you so much. Meaning it's just because I know the challenges. We all know the challenges of running a business. We know the how hard it can be. And if we have somebody that's supporting us, helping us, introducing us to new people, right? Like I'm in love with that person. I'm just like from my heart, thank you so much. You didn't have to do that. But the fact that you go above and beyond to support local businesses, that's fantastic.
Well, because we are all community. I mean, there are tons of spas around me.
Mhm.
There's, like I said, I have seen probably six, seven come and go. That's simply like I'm very generous with samples, giving clients, because I believe try it before you buy it, really,
Yeah.
that philosophy. And I always give the best. I will never buy a skincare line, that doesn't align with my values and stuff. So when I give samples, I give what's the best for their skin.
Mhm.
And of course, people try, they come back and buy the rest of it.
Yeah.
Not every client is going to buy I told you my retail was around 35% of my business. And clients retailing for many estheticians is a big problem. I see it on some different forums and pages because estheticians feel they sound salesy. Guess what? Retailing is part of service, it's closing. If you don't fulfill that need and you touch their face, you analyze, you gave them that facial, they will walk away, go to Nordstrom, Ulta, Sephora, like Amazon, any other retailers, and they'll order something, whatever, and they're not sure even if that works. People should trust you. And first time clients, they might just buy cleanser. It's a gateway to other stuff. Give them samples for other things, and it will happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
business is going to bloom.
I like that. I like that idea, right? Meaning if you have them and you put in that work and somebody is still a little bit hesitant about it, because I believe a lot of people still have it in the back of their head, oh, she's trying to sell me and sell me and sell me, as opposed to understanding that no, I'm not trying to sell you. I'm trying to help you take care of your skin because I have a now it's not about providing more products. It's about providing a plan, right, for the long term. But I really like that concept that you just mentioned that, hey, if they're not going to walk away with everything, at least you take this cleanser, right? Take one thing, try it, and let me give you samples of everything else. Because you know what? Costco's pretty big, right? Costco's everywhere. They do samples, right?
Yes.
You go you go there, they you can sample this, you can sample that, and some people will buy, some people won't, but at least they know about it. They're walking away with something, and now they've tried this, and this, and who knows, maybe they'll pick up one or two of those things as well.
Well, I had a young client, she walked once in right before 15 minutes before first client. And so I asked her, I was like, how can I help you? She said, you gave my mom this, and I stole a little bit from her. And she goes, I was just wondering if I can buy it. I
Yeah.
said, certainly, honey. And guess what? I look at her skin. I didn't have time to do deep dive, but I asked her qualifying questions. She came to buy one stuff. She walked away with three
Wow.
and few free samples, and I see that she booked the facial.
Yeah.
So it's all about taking time talking to people. But if you feel that you are pushing products, clients will feel that too.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I moved here, like I said, 4.5 years ago from Northern Virginia, right outside DC. I still have 7 clients that are ordering products from me. They're going to different estheticians for
Mhm.
service, but they're buying clients products from me. Matter of fact, I'm ready to ship today and order this afternoon. Because you know why? Like one of my clients, she goes, I wanted 3 of the serums. I said, no, I'm not going to send you 3. You don't need 3 serums. My goal is
Yeah.
not to overload you with inventory. You need for your beach house and for your home. So you need 2 serums. You need 2 of each, not 3. She
Mhm.
said, I don't want to run out. I said, I ship products fast. I want you always to have fresh. And guess what? She always tells me, you are mine for life. She said, you would not believe what this other esthetician, where she goes for facial,
Mhm.
tried to sell me. And I said, well, she's just doing her job. I said, did you tell her you're buying products from me? I said, maybe you can try some of her. She said, I don't like her products,
Yeah.
but it's all here because she has relationship with me. And she tells me, she said, Maria, I I'll buy your ticket if you fly here. And she said, if yes,
Yeah,
and I'm
I
probably gonna
believe.
take her up on it. I mean, she orders from me constantly.
Yeah.
She even found some person that she knows on James Island, which is like 55-minute drive from here. She bought her gift card from my place, and woman drove. She's like, wow, I didn't realize she bought. She's like, how did she found you? I said, well, she used to be my client up in Virginia. I said,
Mhm.
so she's just trying to do something nice for her friends. And now, like, I have a seasonal retail boxes. In October, I launched 12 Days of Christmas.
Mhm.
These are limited editions. It takes lots of work because you wrap each gift for 12 days separately, and there's always, I put some motivational saying, and person's supposed to open one gift each day, so
Yeah.
it builds the crescendo. So I always try to put stuff that I sell that are important to me, that again connect to my business. But at the same time, I bought small coffee packets from coffee shop, from a couple other businesses, so they
Yeah.
feel supported too, and those have been hits. I have clients who have ordered these, they were sent to New Mexico, they were sent to California, to Washington State, and I had people calling me that said, oh, this is Linda, I'm calling from Washington State, I received one of your boxes and I really like this or that product, do you ship? I said, oh boy, is the Pope Catholic? And, like, and because first For a second, they have to think and then they start laughing or whatever. I'll say
Mhm.
something on the phone and to break again, whether it's phone or in person, you can find the ways that is something, that it can be relatable to that person, that where
Yeah,
they can laugh.
especially if you're shipping stuff, it would be just a fun thing. So, for example, like as you're supporting local businesses and local coffee shops, it would be cool. It's just a cool thing. Go, hey, here, I personally curated this box, a taste of Summerville, right? And you connect with like the local coffee shop, a local tea shop, and you get those samples and stuff like that. But another idea that I had that I really uh for example, the sample you gave, and then the daughter, was using it, and then she came and bought it. It's a great qualifying question. If you have a client or somebody you're giving a sample to, and taking it one step further and go, oh, by the way, is there anybody else, a friend or a family member in your house? Here, give them one too, right? How fun would that be? Take it that one step further, and now you got that, and now they give one to somebody else as well. Heck, why not?
Yeah, like I said, I don't do paid advertisement. It's all word of mouth, referrals from my clients. And one thing too that is really important is creating Zen atmosphere. One of the things that if you ever search for my business, you know how AI summarizes, so many people will say, when I open the door, when I step in, I feel peace. It
Yeah,
is so peaceful. I feel like I left everything behind me and stuff. Creating the atmosphere where people feel really Chillville atmosphere. After all, I'm director of Chillville.
Chillville. Yes, I'm gonna steal that one from you. That's so, and that's one of the reasons is that you do have these Google reviews. So you have 110 Google reviews, right? Uh, what is your process of getting reviews?
Honestly, in the beginning, I have asked people, but I also use Gloss Genius, and many people would just post on Gloss Genius
Mhm.
reviews. So I have been rated, I got stickers from Gloss. I have been best rated business by Gloss for 2 years in a row. And even this year, so far, I have over 70 reviews alone this year on Gloss Genius.
Mhm.
But I tell people, I said, if you have enjoyed being here, I said, please share the love. And I said, leave me a review, Google review. I have noticed a couple clients that have scanned QR code for Google review at my business and left me business from there. Google removed it for some reason. But
Oh,
I always say, wait till you get home, till you're away from here.
okay.
And people, like I said, when they care about you, I had several also clients, gatekeepers, and I have cut those pretty much. I'm very kind of, I'm firm with them. I don't bend backwards, and they know it uh, because I said, listen, you never do anything for me. Why do you expect me to come, at 10 o'clock for you when I open at 11? I
Mhm.
said, I'll do that for so and so, like their friend who finally found me and stuff. So now, even those couple that were gatekeepers are kind of being more nicer. They realize that I will do extra stuff for people who are building my business. So
Yeah. So, do you just mainly ask them for the reviews, or do you text them, or do you email them, or what
with
work? What do you feel has worked best for you?
for me, honestly, verbal asking because
Mhm.
and sometimes if I know somebody is busy, like I have a mortgage lady, I have realtors, I know their business is so crazy, unpredictable. So at the end of the evening, I'll send them text and I say, hey, Lauren, or hey, Joanne, if you will be so kind, unless you are swamped up to your eyeballs currently, take a few minutes and leave me a review
Yeah.
and stuff. So just mostly verbally, and then text by text, and including then a link to make it easier for clients. And
And I'm glad you made that shift from Gloss Genius. Like again, the reviews in Gloss Genius are nice, but they're not visible so much, meaning people will see them if they go to your booking site and they'll show like 400 reviews. However, it's much more powerful on Google. And I was talking to a gal just a couple days ago and she uses Fresha. She had over 700 reviews in Fresha. And she had, I think, about 80 reviews in Google. And I told her, I go, you know how much more people would find you if half of the Fresher reviews were on Google, if instead of 80 reviews, you had 380, right? I go, and I think a lot of estheticians, it would be a good shift to make. If someone leaves it on Gloss or Fresha or Square or whatever other booking site they're using, to get those people and like I said, I really like the way you add humor into everything. Hey, unless you're busy up to your eyeballs in this, right? I'd really appreciate that because if they did it for there and then asking for them to do it there with kindness, especially if they liked the results, if they liked the service you provided, people would do it, right?
yes.
To be a little bit more intentional with that. And so, what else? What are some of the things that you've learned over the years? Meaning, if you could go back to your younger self when you first started the business and what you've seen now, what are some of the things that you would tell yourself to get the results that you're doing faster?
Um, I would be setting boundaries is very important, but being kind and being understanding. We are in client care business. When you're young, coming out of school, know your worth, as many esthetician likes to put out. Know your worth. Don't settle for this or that. And I just sometimes roll my eyes. I'm like, what's your worth? What's your worth? You just got the license. You literally have permission. I have hired young lady. She was out of school and she was like, I know my worth. I was like, okay, show me your worth. Uh, oh, I can't take a clients right now. No, I'm going to shadow you for another 2 weeks. I'm like, then your worth is nothing to me. You're a dead weight.
Yes.
Yes, I told her, I said, you're a dead weight. You're not bringing money. You're costing me money. I can do this without you. So shape up or leave a ship, and guess what? She still hasn't found 2 years later basically job in a field. She does completely something else. So now she's going to rust even further. But that know my worth, she's clinging to that like
Yeah.
it's her, thing that is going to keep her from drowning, rope from it. But she already drowned. So, be teachable, be open. And, we all make mistakes. Take ownership.
Mhm.
Even if you're a spa owner and it's not you personally, it's your employee. After all, they work for you. Take ownership of that. I have had situation where my esthetician didn't show up for an appointment,
Yeah.
and it was meant for waxing menzillion, and he got so upset immediately. What people do, he left bad review. But I didn't go and say, "Oh, it was my esthetician who didn't show up." I took ownership. We have offered him, full service at no charge and stuff. And so it's important to take ownership when we messed up. and
Mhm.
learn and grow. So far this year alone, I have been to 4 skincare conferences. I'm going in October, it's going to be again Korea. I'm going to Seoul for K Beauty Expo or Fort Lauderdale. I have to see if time crunch, how much
Mhm.
time I'll be able to carve away. So learning, taking classes, and being honest with yourself, with the ones if you are mentoring. Because sometimes I see many esthetician rubber stamp somebody, and I'm like, that's empathy is wrong. We can be kind but honest.
Yeah.
We need to sometimes I tell person, you need to stir that ship, turn it around. You're going in wrong way, you're going to get stuck and stuff. So kindness doesn't necessarily, or firmness doesn't necessarily mean you're a mean person. you
Right.
can you care about people and you want to well for them.
Yeah. And it's exactly what you said in the beginning, right? The bitter truth and the sweet lie, right?
Yes.
It's the truth is the truth. There's certain things that you can just say, hey, this like running a business, the truth is it's work, it's consistency, it's caring, it's like you mentioned, taking ownership. It's there's a lot of parts of it, but that's just the truth. If someone is more of like you mentioned, oh, I know my worth, oh, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna speak to strangers. And a lot of the times those are the directions. When I hear people say that, I know their boat's going in the wrong direction. All right. So what are some of the other mistakes that you see, now that you've been doing this for a little bit longer time, and again, you do have a level of success as well. So congratulations on that. What are some things that you see some estheticians can improve upon in the community that maybe they're doing things that are taking their boat in the wrong direction?
Well, I see sometimes estheticians are saying, oh, I post online, I do this. You can post all you want, but it is that personal connection
Mhm.
that will get people in your door. That where
Yes.
you go out, you go create an event, even if it's in restaurant that serves pizza or wine. I'm fortunate where I live, there's tons of opportunities for me here, or I create opportunities. I mean, they don't have, let's say, this one Italian restaurant. I'm like, wine Wednesday, why don't we meet there for like slice of pizza and glass of wine? Let's chill that way. Or like I
Mhm.
said, Banco, hosting Banco, making fun events, creating fun events. Giveaways are great, to get people. It doesn't have to be something $300-400 in a
Mhm.
box. In the beginning, I couldn't afford big giveaways, but you create almost, like no illusion, but you create something. Like I said, you put a couple bags of tea. It's about putting note in that giveaway, the instruction. Hey, something motivational. People crave to feel loved and relaxed and kind of let go of stress. Like I said, that's people want to know how you're going to make them feel in the end, not what you did for some Debbie or Joanne previously. Before and after are nice, but they are not, in my personal opinion, they don't bring people to me. What brings people is that, oh, Julie invited me and I love her face. I love what she does. I'm here. I want you to help me achieve that. We are
And it
problem solvers.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, and like you mentioned, events and stuff like that, putting together, even doing something small, like a fun. I remember before I used to host like a Jeopardy contest, right? Where it'd be a room full of people, and this side is team one, this side is team two, this side is team three, and the winner got like a small little trophy that I bought off Amazon for like $10, right? But it was like such a fun thing because it wasn't just about the trophy. When you start doing things like that, people start competing and now they're having fun and then they're laughing, right? So putting together events, like you mentioned, it doesn't have to be expensive, but it helps to have it emotional, creating it fun, whether it's Banco or this or that or whatever it may be. That's a and I like the way you said it. It's like the opportunities are all around you, whether it's a restaurant and again, if they don't have those events there, look at things that you like to do. If you like to do banco or book club or play cards, right? You can say, hey, ladies, we're having a card night here at this place, wine and cards, sipping cards or whatever. And putting together things that you like, because one, you're meeting people. Two, you're doing things that you already enjoy to do, right?
That's it. You create opportunities. Like I said, this Italian restaurant, they have bar, and I noticed that between like a lunch and dinner time, they're not that busy at the bar. So I
Right.
approach, I say, if I have a couple ladies here, is it, do we need a table or is it better if you're like five, six of us at the bar? They say, whatever works for you. And guess what? I said, oh, in that case, table would be great. That way we can interact. So, two pizzas, I mean, $50,
Yeah.
two pizzas and bottle of wine, and another $15 for tip. It's so well worth it. Everybody leaves like, oh, this is just what I needed. Girl time. That's what they
Yeah.
call it, girl time and stuff. And, I mean, it's it's hard, but it's not hard. We make it harder sometimes on ourselves, overthinking, so just do it. Go, some coffee shops are the best place. Like I said, read the room. I would never go to Starbucks where everybody's their face is planted and you can tell they're working. But in community, local, individual coffee shops, people are there because they want to interact.
Yeah.
Find something that is authentic to you, say things where people go like, who are you? Let me have your name. Do you, and they'll remember you and stuff. I actually had the recently client that I met 2 years ago, and she just came. And then she told me how she wanted to come before, but just financially she couldn't for a while. And then she encountered cancer and stuff. I always have already in my spa little goodie bag with like socks with Epsom salt. And I mix my own bath soaker in essential oil. Guess what? I hugged her. She even cried. I didn't tell her it's going to be okay. I don't know. I cannot make that promises.
Right.
I said, I'm here. You are here. It's the moment. And
Hmm.
she goes, Maria, you don't know how much it means to me that you didn't say, oh, it's going to be okay. She said, my best friend told me, oh, that kind of cancer is easy to cure. She said she doesn't know that. She was more upset about friends saying that than about cancer. People want truth, honestly, compassion. And guess what? I gave her that little box. I really put it nicely. And put a bow, a little flower. I have dry lavender and stuff in it. And when I gave her that, she started crying again. Not unhappiness, but she goes, I'll be back. And she already rebooked facial with me. When I sell gift certificates, because I do it online, but people like to have physically sometimes piece of paper. And so I'll, instead of saying to my wife, example, if husband is buying, I write to my Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And guys go, yes, yes. And I'll go from your admirer. last whatever, if they're married 27 years, I'll be from your admirer of 27 years.
Uh-huh.
Infusing humor in everything. People come to me and say, I know I can buy gift certificate on your website, but I want one. You know how you put stuff from the man who rocks your world example.
I,
And people like that.
yeah.
Recipients love it. So it's all, like I said, making people feel good.
Nah, and you know what? Does that come naturally to you, like the way you write, like, I'm from your secret admirer or things like that? Because, that is for example, like let's just say Coca-Cola, right? So they started selling more because they put a person's name on it. So people would go to buy that Coke if they found Sarah, or like, oh, that's me, right? Meaning people will buy things that are just a little bit different, a little bit unique by you putting those kind of words in there for my Wonder Woman. People would buy it just because it's a clever way when that person you're creating a beautiful emotion because when his wife opens it could easily be, hey, for Joanne. It could be, hey, this is to Joanne. When she opens and it says, for my Wonder Woman, she's gonna open that, she's gonna smile, and from your secret admirer of 27 years, right? That's creating a moment.
Exactly. And she doesn't know if he came up with that. Like in one case, I had the gentleman, he goes, if my wife asks you who come up with that, can you tell her I did? I said, of course.
Right. And you know what, Maria, like that's one thing I see in you that I believe is one of your just your natural abilities is you let it's kind of like you're helping people be their better selves because at the end it doesn't matter. It's not that and you don't have an ego about it. It's not like, no, I wrote that. No, no. Hey, help this person
Mm.
create this moment with his wife, or whether it's a small business or whether it's the lawyer, but you help other people shine without asking for the spotlight.
Yeah, that's so important. Very important. Being humble,
Yeah.
because your light will come eventually somewhere there. And it's okay because sometimes in life, not everything we said is transactional. Sometimes
Hmm.
you give more, sometimes you receive more. You can never even everything. So it's all right to have people. I mean, this man was so happy when I said, can I write instead of say Stacy, Wonder Woman? He goes, oh my gosh, she's gonna love it. He was just all into it and stuff. And I said, do you think your wife would enjoy what does I said, you probably don't know what she uses on her face. I said, but I'm gonna put some samples in this. I put it in a box. And guess what? Wife is buying skincare from me. She loved samples. She goes, did my husband pick those? I cannot believe I never thought he would pay attention to what I put on my face. I said, oh, I said, we will be surprised how much our husbands know about ourselves. And I'm thinking, yeah, you're right. He doesn't, but you don't need to know that. He told me she puts Nivea on her face. And I'm like, no freaking way. And sure enough, you know, but she was like, wow, I never thought he paid attention. I said, oh, yeah. I said, men don't like to show us that. But I said, I said, I was like, girl, you know. So, making people feel good. And
Yeah.
he texted me,
And, and and you know what, that's a great way to look at it, as instead of saying, oh, like I'm just looking at this through your eyes, right? It's wonderful, for example, to see a client transformation. But for example, if I'm saying, oh, I did this, it's like, no, I helped with this. but it was her. It was my client's consistency that did it. It was my client's dedication. It
Yes.
was my client's willingness to follow and stuff like that. So I think that's one of the a powerful thing in a me world, like look at me, look what I did. It's like, no, I'm just glad to be a part of your journey, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's actually, I have printed cards that actually I give to clients, and it says, "Thank you for allowing us. Thank you for being in with us on Tala journey, on your journey, allowing us to be part of your journey."
Yeah.
Yes, because I always tell clients what I do counts for 15 to 20% of your skin health. I emphasize health. What you do home counts for 80 to 85.
Yeah.
Same like brushing and flossing teeth. You can have dental hygienists do the best job, but if you don't floss and brush at home daily, we know what's going to happen. I find something that people can, it's relatable, and mostly people go to dentists for cleaning. So, I never criticize clients. I'm never harsh. Um, and I have very few cancellations, and I don't have to be stern with people. Oh, I'm gonna, if you cancel, you have to pay deposit. I have, and some of my clients I have canceled, I wanted them to cancel. I don't want somebody with strep throat to come to my practice and put me out of business for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
You know what? That's one of my biggest pet peeves that I see in the community sometimes is somebody say, "Oh, hey, somebody canceled, what do I do?" And then there's so many estheticians, and I believe they're on the younger side of it. Oh, keep the deposit, keep this, keep that. And I'm just like, why do you want to why that $10, $20 deposit or whatever it may be, is it worth the losing a client and then them
yes,
disliking you and them talking to all their friends about, all that stuff? It's like, like you mentioned, there's reasons why it happens, right? It's another thing if it's a bad client. Like there are bad clients out there, right? There are the ones, and I like the way you approach it is saying, be truthful, but at the same time be stern. If you give somebody the benefit of the doubt, they do it again. But then at some point, it's like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not for you because XYZ. But it's the ones that are in the beginning. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. I cringe when I see, estheticians saying, just charge deposit, keep, run their credit card. If that happens to you often, that you have to do that, then your approach is wrong. There's
Yeah,
if and you're booking, who are you booking? How are you, what kind of connections do you have with your clients? Because that certainly is not right way. You
hmm,
know, like I said, I don't charge people cancellation fee, but my cancellations are so minuscule, so few. And if somebody is canceling, I know that there is a reason. I mean, here and there, maybe two, three clients a year that, like you said, that I don't want them as my clients,
yeah.
you know, because these are often sometimes shoppers who are shopping, hopping around and looking for best deal. They're not my clients. I want to build relationship, build my monthly clientele. They come every month. They love results. They bring their friends and stuff. I have one client, she's moving because of her husband's job. She literally cried. She brought me a gift and she said, Maria, I don't know. She said, this is not good. I promise I'll help her find another esthetician
Just
in
tell her you can
Arizona.
help her find another husband. Just be like, hey, be like, hey, see, so he has to leave, huh? Well, here, let's find some other guys here. This guy's single.
Oh, I have actually matched two of my clients.
Yeah.
One of my, yeah, I told him, I said, you know, Keith, I'm a matchmaker. And he looked at me, I said, you just came from, he works for government. He was
Hmm.
stationed in Italy for 2 years, came back, and his sister booked him appointment, said, you have to go see Maria. She's a magic maker. And he said later, he said, my sister was so right. I mean, you really are something. I said, but you can't leave yet. I said, I have another client. She's single. You two are, and I introduced them. And so even she said, did Maria kept you here so she can introduce us? He said, well, yeah, she said something about being matchmaker. You know, I mean, I said, you're two adults. You can have glass of wine together,
Yeah.
because I said, this is the way to meet some, people in a person, not online. And they both loved it.
Yeah, it's a conversation, right? It's like, hey,
Yes.
that's all it is, right? Make a friend. Something may come out of it, something may not come out of it. But again, it makes it easier that you're recommending them because you know both people, right? You kind of can see the types and you're like, hey, I feel you might get along with this person because, you know,
So when his sister, who's my client, she sent me text. She said, Maria, I didn't realize I had to add matchmaking to your creds, like credentials. I said, yeah, that's right. She goes, are you still holding something from me back, holding back? I said, oh, I can't tell you everything. I said, first year. I said, it's going to take a while for you to get to know me. She goes, I guess I have to keep coming every month. I said, yes.
you know what, Maria? I'll wait for to see that post from your social media. Do you have a brother or someone who's single? Right? Hi, I have hundreds of women clients, right? Send him in. So one, he can take care of his skin. Two, I can get to know him. And three, let me see if I know somebody that's perfect for you, right?
With everything is opportunity, if you think.
Heck yeah.
Everything. You just have to take it
Yeah.
and really wrap it up and serve it.
100%, 100%, right? And it's using the research. And I really want to value your time. So before we conclude this, Maria, because again, I can talk to you forever, is looking back at your business, things that you've learned for the estheticians that are out there that are struggling, right? The main thing that we hear about, how do I get more clients? How do I get more clients? I'm struggling with my business. Uh, what is your message to them? What would you tell them to do that can help them guide their boat, their ship in the right direction?
Go out there and network in person. Posting online is not going to bring you clients. Go early to coffee shops. Every place, I don't know any place that doesn't have at least one local community, coffee shops where people get together in the morning, where you see tons of people. Go sit at the table. Choose the biggest table there is, even if
Mhm.
it's one person there, because other people will start sitting after you sit there, because it's shared table. Start conversation, don't be standoffish. I have one time actually met another esthetician. I would never thought she was an esthetician. She was so standoffish in that same coffee shop. And I'm like, girl, no wonder why you're struggling. Just relax, be yourself, and networking in person is amazing. Like I said, go and support. You don't have to buy gift cards from their business, but you can mention them. Like I have a private Facebook group
Mhm.
for my clients. It's called Tala Insiders. In that group, they get special deals. They get stuff that I don't post and share on my regular social media.
Oh, good idea.
Yes, and all these people that are in that group are my core clients. They're my bread and butter. And they love me, they'll do anything for me,
Yeah.
and ask people directly, when they come to you, give them the best treatment, whether it's preventive and relaxing facial, corrective facial. Be honest. We know that hyperpigmentation cannot be fixed in one swoop. I have gotten so many clients because they said, I went to this place and girl says she's going to fix me in once. I said, you didn't get this overnight.
Yeah.
You got this takes years. I said, it's going to require series. And I sell also, you don't sell that to first client that comes first time. But after twice, I always go, I have packages. This will give you savings. It's a value. It's promotion that is only available to my clients that come and see me.
Yeah.
And people will buy package because they see it as a value and I see it as my business. You
What kind
know,
of package? So when you say a package, like give me an example of a package that you have.
like buy three, get one free is the
Okay.
most popular. So I'll either do my signature facial series like that, or I'll do advanced facials where people can micro needling and stuff. And that has worked the best for me. I mean, I sold yesterday two packages of those to two new, brand new clients. They didn't
Mhm.
even wait because they want to take advantage of that because I always tell it's 25% savings basically. I mean, where can you get 25% off,
Yeah.
and stuff? And women will go for that. That works for me, but find what works for you. Example, I often do, let's say, lip treatment. I go, buy one, get the other half off. Instead of immediately discounting first one for 20%, I said, this is exceptional value this week. And I know who is using, so I let them know. I say, you're using this anyway. So people, instead of just buying one, buy two
Yeah.
and stuff. And again, I have clients where I have to tell them, no, you have enough, no more. You don't need to be overloaded with inventory. And they love it because they know, again, in 4 weeks, when they need something else, I'll send it, I'll ship it to them.
And so for like the networking again, I am all for the networking. I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to say, "Hey, that's not me. I'm an introvert." What would you say to an esthetician who is struggling in her business but says she's an introvert and it's hard for her to talk to strangers?
Guess what? I'm not morning person. I train myself to get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock to start my day. And you call me at 5 a.m., I'm going to be as happy as now or at midnight.
Yeah.
You have to do whatever it takes. There are lots of groups too. You can join professional groups, but that again requires networking. There are lots of groups out there, but you really have to take that risk and put yourself out there. You can't expect people will walk into your business and give you business just because whatever reason you post something about before and after and I'm the best esthetician. No, that doesn't work.
Yeah, 100%, right? Go out. It's a skill, right? It's a learned skill that you can learn. Get a friend to go with you, right? To do that. But remember, if you take a friend, don't two of you just sit there and talk to each other. If you're at a networking event, you're there to meet strangers, right? You're there to meet people. And every man, either he might have a girlfriend, he might have a wife. If he's single, he's got skin. So, right?
Yeah, everybody's your client. I never, sometimes I cringe when I hear like some estheticians I have heard they go, oh, that is not good. That person is not going to be my client. They judge person by
Yeah.
what they wear, like handbag. I remember one time, my boss actually, I worked for someone. She goes, why did you talk to that woman? She's, look at her, look at the handbag. She's not going to be able to buy uh, uh, from us services or products. I gave my boss evil eye at that time. So she pulled me away from this woman. I told her, I said, excuse me. So we start talking. And guess what? Woman is now my client. She drives 6.5 hours from Richmond, Virginia to South Carolina 3, 4 times a year. She gets my facial. I ship her products. So she's been my longest client, 13 plus years.
Wow.
But my boss, because she did not like a handbag and how woman was dressed, like what she called hippish.
Yeah.
And my client heard this. She knew. She said, I know she probably judged me not worthy being in her spa. And I was
Mm.
honest. I said, yes, she did. She said, but you didn't. I said, because I don't look at the people. We all spend money, time, and treasure. What's important to us? I say, your handbag is not important, or your clothes is fine. It's comfortable. It fits your style. I said, I can just see you need little dangly earrings with that outfit. I said, but your earlobes might be a little too stretched. So, yeah. And guess what? Like I said, she was here in March. She's coming back. I love her. We laugh often. She goes, Maria, how did we ended up being 13 plus years? I feel like I'm married to you. But that's love. You know what I mean? That's relationship,
No,
you know.
that's the thing. It's like if there's clients that are canceling or you have those problems or people are dealing with, oh, charge them their deposit. It's a good thing to ask yourself what kind of clients do you have? Are you building transactional clients or are you building a relationship? Because the more relationship you have, the less you're going to have these problems. So if I believe a lot of estheticians, if they can learn and pick up a couple of things that you mentioned, build a relationship, care, be honest, right? The truth might be bitter, but hey, you know what? Real people will appreciate that. The fake ones will appreciate you blowing smoke up their ass, right?
Yes. Yes.
So awesome. Well, Maria, again, thank you so, so much. Let me turn this sucker off. I'll chat with you for a second. And then, everybody, this is so valuable. Be fun, be memorable, care for your clients. Don't judge based on what you see their purse or their handbag. Everyone is a potential client. Use the resources around, network with people, network with businesses, take the spotlight and put it on your client, not on yourself. All right. So awesome. Thank you so much, Maria.
You're very welcome, Vic. Thank you as well.